everyone. Let me first introduce the guest speaker for the day. So it's Miss Dinishiks Vithanage who is with me today. She's one of the senior lecturers in the psychology department of ICBT Kandy, and she holds an MSc in sociology and social responsibility, MSc in criminology and criminal justice, and BA in psychology, English, and political science. So it's really good to have you with us today, ma'am.
I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me for a timely discussion like you always do. I know you are very concerned about timely matters in society and in the field of psychology, so I really appreciate that, Yasoda, for your enthusiasm.
So it's this topic we have chosen today on lookism, or in other words, appearance discrimination. So a lot of us, I can include myself as well in that, we go through this appearance discrimination a lot, especially in our society, no matter how much people speak about it. So it's I hope it's going to be a useful discussion for the people who are watching this and who would be watching the video in future as well. So I hope we are ready to go, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. I think you have had some questions, right, structured up to take this discussion. So I think the first question was on giving a definition and how to understand what lookism is, what contains lookism. So usually in the academics or in the as a social discussion, lookism is not based on just on looks, judging someone. It's more than that. So we need to go in depth and understand what contains in this word, lookism or beauty bias, we would call it. Now, in history, for the first time, it's the Washington Post in 1978 came up with the definition of what lookism is. So I was able to make some notes because I was researching on it when you brought your idea that you wanted to talk about this and discuss about this and make people aware and find out whether looks matters to us, right? And basically, lookism is based on appearance discrimination. Discriminating someone's against their appearance. So sort of being biased towards attractive people over unattractive people. Now, there is a general question among us, is the beauty in the eye of the beholder? Or is it something that is given to us by these cultural norms, standards, right? The majority idea of what beauty should be. So based on that, we discriminate someone against their appearance. So it's basically an individual choice. It can be a choice created by society of a beauty standard, right? So this matter of lookism or beauty bias basically comes when it comes to hiring, when it comes to interviewing for a job in employment sector. Now, there have been some movements started against this. I will come to that later. So the basic idea or the definition of lookism is discriminating someone against on their appearance and giving or having your bias towards someone who's attractive. Now, this idea of attractiveness is cultural, it's sociological, it's psychological, right? Now, I will take your mind, since you have been a student of my psychology classes, we've been discussing about socio-cultural theory of Lev Vygotsky, right? So Lev Vygotsky mentioned that we learn from the society, we learn from the culture. The cultural understandings are learned by children through their parents, adults, you know, the people who they associate. Now, when it comes to other isms, now lookism is one of the isms in that category. Racism, right? Sexism, ethnic issue. So all those isms are discriminating someone against something, a characteristic based on skin color, based on religion, based on their ethnicity, right? So likewise, these things are learned from the society, especially when it comes to sexism, racism. We are learning these things from either associating with other people, especially now when it comes to parenting. I always point this out. Children learn from parents, right? So but when it comes to Lookism, there are controversial ideas whether we learn to discriminate someone against their appearance only based on the culture or not? Or is it something different? Now, one of the leading psychologists on this, Nancy Etkoff in Massachusetts General Hospital in the USA, have pointed out that babies, I think at 2 months of age, at a very young age, they know how to identify those people who are attractive to them. So when they are shown pictures, they would look at the pictures of attractive people. They would stare at them, but not the unattractive people. So the psychologists have gone in to say that this is not just cultural, but this can be biological as well, right? So if the babies don't have a cognitive understanding of going into, okay, this person is attractive, this person is not, this is what the culture say, right? I should like thinner people over heavy people or fatter people, right? So there is certain a biological component in there too. However, now, the problem of Lookism has come into the larger context of society where people get discriminated against their appearance in different social contexts. When it comes to employment, in universities, right? Even among friends, even in casual gatherings, people may get looked down upon because of how they look, whether they are attractive or not, right? Now, that's the basic idea. We need to have an understanding of what Lookism is.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, mostly people do this. Like they are not aware of what they are doing, but they very simply voice out their
Yeah,
judgments. Like you
exactly.
look fat, you look thin, you look dark today, your dress looks nice, or you don't look
Yeah.
nice today. So like it's not just the skin color, but there are various other forms of discriminating someone based on their appearance. So can we give them some examples of situations, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes. One of the good examples I can bring out is from Japan. Japan had a movement called Kutu movement, Kutu. That was started by one of the main actresses in Japan. I think I jot down her name, Yumi Ishikawa. She's one of the famous actresses. She fought for this Lookism in employment, in industries where bosses have been telling Japanese women to wear high heels. Now, when I was a student, I remember this movement was very popular, but did not take much interest in it as a student. You know, like at some point of our life, we don't pay attention to what happens in society. But when we grow up and we become victims of certain social contexts on, you know, discriminated against our skin color or how we comb our hair or what we dress, we start to pay attention. So, however, this Kutu movement is one of the biggest movements that came against discriminating people against appearance. So, the Japanese women sort of started a social movement. We cannot wear high heels. Let us wear something comfortable that we can travel, that we can walk. So that is not up to the male bosses to decide what we should wear and not discriminate us against. And then in England, the Birmingham University started a movement called Everyday Lookism. So in that movement, what they did was they collected stories from people, stories where they have been discriminated against, whether they have been decided they look attractive or unattractive. So they shared stories in a website to make people aware this is what happens in society. So lookism is not just a mere judgment of how a person would look, but it goes beyond that, where people would get depressed, stressed, or even leading up to other mental health issues, physical health issues in people if they overly internalize uh, the discrimination they go through in society.
True, like we ourselves unconsciously we pay attention to how we would look. Like even when we take a picture, even to post it on social media, we are very concerned about how it looks because of this comments that would
Exactly.
come on to us, and like we want to look good. So although
Yes.
we speak a lot about I don't care how I look to others, but still we
Yes.
consciously or unconsciously pay attention to it.
Exactly. Now, the Harvard Business Review, one of the top magazines we have in the business industry, talks about all these psychological components and social components. When it comes to hiring, they have found out through research, most women who tend to be attractive, very thin, tall, look glamorous, and men who are considered to be handsome probably get interviewed and probably get a second interview for a selected job. So the people who are considered to be unattractive, according to those research, probably short, not very good in height, probably plump, they would say, right? A little heavier or fat, would not get a second call. Now, why do you think the managers or industries would want to hire people who are good looking? So the reason they would point out is that they build more friendlier connection with their customers. Why? The customers get more attracted to people who are considered to be attractive. So for the bosses and the managers, it's all about money, the capital. It's not about ethics. Now, discriminating a person against their appearance is an ethical issue, right? So, but they are not concerned about the ethics. They are all about how to increase their profit. So they would justify their decisions on, I need people in my team who look attractive because I can bring more business to my industry. Now, there was this case in the US. This actually took place a couple of years back. Abercrombie and Fitch, a retail, a very popular clothing brand. Abercrombie always wanted to hire teenagers or people for their stores considered as very handsome or very pretty, right? So this was happening for a long time, and even their clothing was sort of made towards the skinnier people, not for very plus size women or men. So they went through a case where they wanted to hire a lady. I think she was Muslim in her ethnicity. She wasn't hired because she was wearing a head cover or hijab, as far as I remember. So she wanted to go to courts against that. She was discriminated against her appearance because Abercrombie had a set policy that their store people have to be very attractive and very appealing to people. Now, the Abercrombie business have changed themselves, and now they are catering to plus size people as well. Now, if you go to their website, you all of a sudden see a sudden change, like over the period they have changed. Now, it is actually good. It's a good thing that they do not sort of at least try to tell people that they are not discriminating against their appearance. However, Yasoda, the reality is we still do. We still have this judgmental view within us, and it's created by the society. As I always tell you guys, even in my classes, that culture is made by us. The social standards are made by us. And why do you think the cosmetic brands are very popular in every country? Why do you think people buy cosmetics? Why there are a lot of advertisements that we see every single minute when we go to social media telling us this tea is better for you to get slimmer, this eyeshadow is better for you to, highlight your eyes. So what are they telling us? You should be attractive. You should be appealing to social standards of a society. So there was one research that has been done. I can't remember the university on top of my head. The researchers would say in that article, no one wants to admit they're unattractive. No one wants to go about, oh, I am ugly, I accept that. But everyone fights to be attractive and appealing to the society, right? So that has become now a major trend. How do I comb my hair, color my hair, so that I would be accepted in any social context that I place myself in? Now, in the US, before 1970s, there was a crazy law called ugly law. That was their ugly law. So the uglier people, they mentioned as people who are deformed, who has a disease, who are not very appealing in appearance wise, in looks wise, can come to the public so that the people would get shocked, people would not want to sort of address them, talk to them, approach them. So if you come to the streets, if you, according to them, had a disease or not really doing well, you get fined or get arrested, get jailed. So, however, with time it changed. But when you look into the history, this matter of lookism is taken very serious, rather serious, that people have been discriminated against their appearance throughout history, right? Like even starting from the Western countries.
Yes. So the impact of this, we were talking about, very simply, people do comment about how people look, but the ones who are being discriminated or the ones who are being commented on go through a lot of mental stress and trauma. So can we talk about that?
Of course. Now, when we address about the mental trauma, the first thing I remember is this idea about trying to be slim or trying to put on weight. I think we usually discuss that section under psychology of, I think, now I think I just forgot my words. Anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. Remember, we have discussed this under motivation and emotions, how people try to control their body image, either try to be slim because they want to fit in the society of being thinner is attractive, or either they want to try to be not fatter, but in average weight because they think looking thinner is not accepted in society. But when you look into the cases of anorexia nervosa, being extremely thin and unhealthy thin, especially we find that in modeling industry, where models sort of wanted to stay in the standard of maintaining their physical beauty, a figure, have gone into cases of committing suicide because they have been fighting through the industry, competing with other models to become either popular or keep their job. And this is a very unhealthy promotion in the modeling industry. But now things have been changed. But we should not forget that it has been there, it has been rooted in the idea of being thinner in certain cultures are the perfect admittance to the society, the acceptance in the society. So many people have gone through under depression, stress, and even committing suicide because of the body image. Now, talking about body image, we have a self-concept. Our self-concept is how much value you would give to yourself, what sort of an idea or image you would have. This comes from Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers says that we have a current self-concept and an ideal self-concept. Sometimes people who are or who have less self-esteem would dream to have an ideal self, right? So if I am let's say hypothetically, if I am a heavy person or a fat person, according to the societal standards, I would love to be a slim person, a thinner person. So I think I would be accepted in the society. So to achieve that, I may do anything and everything. I may try things that are not healthy for me. But I may suffer with the idea that every time I go out, people stare at me, people look at me. I may not get a job because of my body image, because how I look. So people will not accept me. So this feeling can traumatize you for years. This may even end up in committing suicide because you won't find results right away, right? So a person would live with it. So Carl Rogers would say that if the ideal self and your current self or your current self-image do not match, that would be very harmful for you, right? So you may not achieve your goals in life because you're always thinking about something that you do not have, so that you dream about having it, and that process might be very unhealthy for your mind and body always. And every minute you probably go on blaming yourself and thinking that you are not good enough.
So probably it's best that everyone needs to understand that it's not about, like, especially when it comes to body image, it's about being fit and healthy, not how you look.
Exactly. Now, this is why we need to go back to that idea of beauty is individual. It's a highly subjective idea. Now, how does it come to culture? Now, this is evolutionary, right? Now, I'm sure you may have come across instances where we criticize beauty pageants now, right? Now, in beauty pageants, they would try to select ideal a figure of a woman or a man. So this woman is the ideal figure in society, the prettiest woman in the world, Miss Universe or Miss World or Mrs. World, right? So it's sort of a brainwashing for the rest of the society who would watch it or look at that woman. She's having everything in her life. She's enjoying her life because she's pretty. Now, Harvard Business Review says that people who think they are pretty seems to be very attractive, right? I would coin that with personality psychology. In personality psychology, when it comes to personality characteristics, actually, some of the researchers have pointed out people who are extroverts, right? They are very outgoing, they are very talkative, they want to move with people. So they have a sort of a jolly good personality. They are very exciting about doing things. And people who are introverts, who sort of have a solitary life to themselves, are not very excited about things. They want to, sit quietly and read a book and just, be solitary. So if you coin that idea into this attractiveness and unattractiveness, it has been pointed out attractive people are supposed to be very successful people, supposed to be very outgoing, getting more attention from people. Now, it has proven to be wrong, right in certain social contexts, and but I don't think a lot of people would agree with that, because there are cases that you don't actually have to be attractive to be successful. But in the business industries, that's what social researchers have found out. So there is a personality that goes along with your appearances as well. So I think this lookism or the appearance comes with your self-esteem. This is why I told you that it goes beyond just judging a person, right? Now, I would give you an example. Let's say I hate to use the words attractive and unattractive because these are highly subjective words. These are, with certain socio-cultural understandings. I may get selected to a job and I may still be unattractive. I may get hired because I have the qualifications, the qualities to fit in that job, right? But right now, in the modern world, that's not what's happening. So you may have to have, or you should have, the qualities to get hired, and also you should look good. Now, this actually some case studies comes from South Korea. South Korea is noted as the capital of the plastic surgeries. South Korean women compete with each other to look good because in their culture, women have to struggle to be independent and get hired for a good job and get paid well compared to their male colleagues. So they would do anything to look better. Now this has become a trend in East Asian countries like South Korea, China and Japan, that definitely they would go for a better look and changing their outlook totally to fit in the society and compete with the people in the society. So this is not an ending discussion. This never ends. This will be in our society and this will traumatize some people. This will lead to certain physical and mental health problems in people. Now, for that, I would bring a story. I think I shared that yesterday in Instagram about Joseph Merrick, a person who lived in the late 19th century. As a child, he was doing good, but at age 12, his physical body started to change and his head sort of increased up to 3 feet of just skin, and his skin and bones started to change, and he actually just, I think you can hear me, right? I think there was
Yes,
a little
ma'am.
bit of
Sorry, I had a problem, network issue.
Okay, perfect. So as I was saying, he was considered a disfigured character, and he went through a miserable time because he looked so different. So long story short, he was found by, actually he was called a freak. He later joined a freak show in London. So while he was in the freak show, he was found by a psychologist and was admitted to the London hospital. And he actually spent rest of his time there. He got famous for his looks because he was called the Elephant Man because his entire face changed. But in his biography, in his story, norms of this. Okay, I think you didn't
Ma'am.
miss anything. Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's fine. So I hope you heard the last part of what I was saying, that he went through a miserable time because of his looks, and he actually died at age 27 in the hospital. So he was basically ostracized by the society. Now, the history has a lot of stories that bring out that lookism is not just about, judging a person on the surface level, but this has done so much damage to oh, you are still there.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Sorry, the
So
network
that,
is really messed
no,
up today.
hopefully it's not mine. It's not my
No,
Wi-Fi.
no,
So I
it's
was the
on
one
my
who's
end today.
so that was Joseph Merrick's story. So as I was saying, history tells us a lot about how people have been discriminated against how they look, right? How attractive you are or unattractive you are. And the ethical question is, do we have the right to tell someone to change because we think they are unattractive in our social standards, right? Or they're attractive and we become biased to them because they are attractive. And have been a couple of studies done that it says, it's funny though, but it's amazing that when you see a hungry person sees a meal and gets so much, excitement to eat that. So when you see an attractive person, your brain works the same way. You just want to, talk to the person. You kind of like stare at the person and want to get to know the person. So this is why certain psychologists would go into say that this is not mere a social constructed theory in the society, but this has some biological component that we have brought with us through history. There's an evolution of how we discriminate people against their appearance, on their looks.
True. So it's very complicated. The term seems very simple, but like where it comes from and what it does to people, because probably, as you told, the introverts and extroverts, probably people are introverts because they feel insecure about how they look as well, because of these stereotypes set in the society. So if you are like this, you are an attractive person. If you're this way, you are not attractive. So probably the people who feel that they are not in the attractiveness category feel
Yes.
insecure, that they don't want to go out.
Yes, exactly. Now, this also goes into the narcissistic evaluation of people. It says that most narcissistic people think they're attractive, therefore, now there are a couple of types of narcissism in psychology that we study. Some of the narcissistic people are very successful and they are sort of staged or welcomed highly in business industry because the businesses can attract customers and business deals because these people are attractive, and that narcissism is not harmful. But there's another narcissistic type, a negative narcissistic type, that they want to dwell on their looks, their attractiveness. So they want people to tell them that they're attractive. So basically worship them because they look good. And they do harm because if someone does not want to agree or go ahead with them and with what they say, they become very upset, very sort of their egos get damaged and upset, and they sometimes go into the levels of committing suicide, right? Because they don't get the attention they seek from the people or the society, or harming someone else, humiliating someone else. These people have problems in their relationships. So toxic relationships can be are created because one person in a relationship can be a narcissistic person because they think they are so good looking, therefore the other person has to sort of worship. So to that the other person should feel lucky because okay, you are with a very good looking person, I'm really handsome, or I'm very pretty, or in the modern day society we use the word hot and sexy, right? Now people want to look hot and sexy. Now who create these words? Now in industries, people, the managers or the higher level management want sexy people so they can get the clients, right? So in social media, we want to look sexy and hot so that we can get more likes on Instagram, on Facebook. So this is like a rat race on, we try to sort of coin our appearance with the social standards. Now, I feel that sometimes it's kind of like not healthy at all, but we have embraced it. It has become part of our lives now. So this is why we go on to lengths of doing various things to our physical appearance. So in my personal opinion, I think we can sometimes look at lookism in different ways. Lookism is good if it does not discriminate against someone because of how they look, or whether they look attractive or unattractive. It's okay, it's your right to look good, but this is not a healthy way of approaching the term. That's the problem there, right? So other than that, of course, anyone has the right to look good, look fit, do what they prefer. But based on that, we should not go into lengths of devaluing someone as being unattractive compared to an attractive person, because it's a highly subjective matter.
Exactly. So yes, so we were talking about a lot of movements as well, but this is happening all over the world. But as we know, our culture, it's people having the knowledge of these kind of things is very less. So no matter how much we talk about, especially we
Yeah.
see this a lot of this in families as well. So
Yes.
especially with grandparents, when you're like a bit thin, they're like, "Oh my God, have you been starving?" Or
Yes.
when we put on a little bit, they're like, "Oh, you look so fat," and they compare you with the other grandchildren. So, like, how do you think we can change this in our society, ma'am?
Yes, that's a good question. So we always try to apply this knowledge and apply these terms into a Sri Lankan social context. Now, when it comes to appearance discrimination, my God, I can go into so many things. But recently, I think we have started something on beauty is on how fair you look. You need to, if you're a woman, you need to have a long hair. If you're a man, you need to have a muscular body. You need to be like tall, right? So we have gone into lengths of comparing ourselves with the Western standards of appearance. Now, the problem here is culture to culture, the understanding of the definition of lookism changes, right? Now, in the Sri Lankan culture, we know that let's say based on gender, both men and women go through issues at workplace, not actually only at workplace, but even in society. Now, when it comes to boys, when it comes to men also give a lot of importance to how they look. And it is obvious that we can see the young generation is more about, rather than acquiring knowledge, they want to keep their looks intact in really good standard, that they are welcomed in the society or accepted in the society as cool, or as I don't know. There are so many terms that they would go in to identify themselves. I don't even know, because I belong to the older generation. So, however, in the Sri Lankan context, this pressure comes with parents, as you mentioned. From the small age, the very young age, our parents would say, this is how a female should look, this is how a male should look. And we even go to sort of selecting colors, pink for girls, blue for boys. But if we do something different, if a girl goes into, sort of wearing like a boy, changing the colors, having a short haircut, that becomes a problem in the family. And that becomes a problem in the society. Why, oh my God, now she's not very standard. She's actually not properly cultured by the parents. And the parents want to take the pressure, because they think we get humiliated by people in the society because you don't want to follow the rules. So those are the rules we have set up. These are not even, ethics, but rules. So either you follow them, or you get humiliated. Because you sort of become stigmatized, a stigma that you are not part of the majority, right? Now, stigmatization can go into not only mental health or physical conditions, or being differently able, it can go into how you look, how you appear in society. And this has become such a mental hassle for certain people, even in young age. The parents trying to mold the child into a socially accepted look or appearance, because then they can put the child into a better school or send her or him into, a proper work or a career. So basically the parents are molding the child for future, what is socially accepted. Now, this is a mental pressure for children, which leads into depression in later life, which is not actually encouraged. We should not encourage that kind of behavior from parents, putting a child into a mold and trying to, make a robot out of her or him, because the child has to have the freedom or the liberty to select who you want to look like or who you want to be, because the self-image will not develop if the child is not given freedom to explore and select what skills and qualities they need to acquire from the social environment. And this goes with, I think, Albert Bandura's theory of social learning. Remember, in Bobo Doll's experiment that he had done, the children have been imitating what the adults have been doing. So we have to be very careful, even when it comes to appearance. What sort of a creature are you going to make out of your child? Is it healthy for the child to say, okay, if you're a girl, you should be like this, otherwise you won't find a partner in the future, right? Because you do not fit into the mold, because your looks are horrible, your looks are not very fitting in the majority eye of being a woman in the social cultural setting here in Sri Lanka. Now, this is why I sometimes go in to say, don't tell our women to wear a sari and swim, right? Sometimes our women, I think few years ago, I came across a story, the ladies or the girls have been discriminated how they look in a swimsuit, right? So, because the little bit of skin has been shown, but then the society expects them to wear a sari and swim. You can't. Sometimes you probably have to, change your appearance to fit into what the industry or the sport you're doing. So we need to have that awareness in this society that appearance is not just about how you look on outside, but it goes beyond of impacting your mental health, your physical health, how you present, your identity in social setting, in large society, right? So are we promoting mental health through promoting self-image and self-identity or self-esteem in a positive manner, or are we destroying it? So we need to decide as a society, what kind of pathways are we taking on the basis of appearance, right? We need to be very careful, because I think I have witnessed that this sort of discriminating people against appearance have become a rather serious issue in society with regard to mental health and self-esteem, self-confidence, especially in young generation. They question, am I good enough? Am I good enough for this work? Am I good enough to be in this crowd? Am I good enough to be part of this organization? Because probably people don't like how I look, how I dress, right? So we need to tell our children, it is not just your appearance that matters. Your qualities are valued. Your qualities should be valued in the social setting or in society.
Exactly, something everyone needs to really hear, that it's
Exactly.
not always about looks. Like, being presentable is a different thing, where you have
Yes.
to look good and
Yes.
decent. Good in the sense, not like on the attractiveness basis, but wherever you go, you should be according to that situation. But it's not
Yeah.
about like standing out of the crowd and being attractive only is not what
Yes.
matters. But
Exactly.
many people are giving too much of importance to that in today's world, sadly.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. And I think a lot of attractive people, most attractive people, I'm not saying all of them, but most attractive people think that they have the rights to undervalue or undermine someone as an unattractive person because they are very narcissistic about their appearance. And that's where this discrimination starts. So we need to go to the roots. Where does this come from? Who makes these rules and ethics or standards and norms? Is this good for the culture? Now, people would debate that cultures cannot be changed, but we can change certain cultural elements if they are harmful to the people who live within that culture. That comes with social change. Now, I don't think I have to explain what social change is. It's like a small revolution that people would do, promoting positive ideals, promoting positive movements in society to change how people think and stop victimizing, criminalizing people, stigmatizing people, ostracizing people in society because they look different, because they have the balls to stand against the standard social norms, right? So therefore, this discussion or the dialogue about Lookism is not just not a joke. It has a lot of seriousness towards it because it's mainly go with your mental health and being
Yes.
discriminated against your appearance.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, probably everything I had planned to ask is done, but I know it's not something we can finish within a matter of 1 hour or 30 minutes.
Yes,
But anyways, I learned so much, and I hope those who watch also benefited from this. But I hope this just does not finish with our discussion here, but people just
exactly.
find out more information about how this can impact, and I think it does at least a teeny bit of change in the minds of people.
Yeah, one last time, I would say that people need to be humble about how they treat others. People should understand you may have subjective ideas about, the beauty, being biased towards beauty, but you can be humble, right? So everyone is different. Now, this comes with Yasoda of the cognitive understanding of you have to have certain awareness, a certain education about I am doing something wrong. I should not do that. So if you feel guilty at one point that I should not be discriminating someone against how they look, right? Because that's how they look. You can't change them. But that doesn't give you the power to demean someone because thinking you look the best, right? So being humble, being respectful, being empathetic in psychology, that's what we promote. And having the idea that every creature in society, every human has the right to do what they like and how to appear on their preference, right? When I say do what they like, not harming someone, but in a certain boundary that you share your ideas and sort of support each other to grow up. So I feel like it's a utopian idea when I say this in society because sometimes these things don't take place. You sort of have a workshop and a webinar, we discuss, and the next day people forget about that. But
True.
I think few of us still try and fight, like people like you always bring out these matters into public concern, which I highly appreciate from bottom of my heart. And you should be doing these kind of discussions in future so that people can learn and be aware of the things that we should and should not do in society.
Thank you so much for your time as well, ma'am. So for agreeing to participate with this discussion. And today, of course, we just discussed one form of discrimination, so which we come
Yeah.
across daily. And
Yeah.
there is so much more that we can keep on talking for hours and hours. So hopefully, we will have discussions on other forms of discriminations as well in time to come.
Thank you so much, Yasoda, for inviting me. And I enjoyed having to discuss this issue. So I hope people got benefited by it. Thank you so much.
Hopefully. Thank you so much, ma'am, and see you soon. Bye.
See you soon, Yasoda. Take care. Bye. Good night. Bye, everyone.
Good night. So thanks to all who participated, guys, and stay tuned. Hopefully, we will be coming back with some other interesting discussion very soon. See you all. Good night.